What's up, friends? On today's episode, I want to talk to you guys about what we need to look for when we are analyzing a rental property. It's not just what is our rents minus our mortgage gives us our cash flow. That's not how it works, unfortunately. Yes, we need to know what our rents are so that we can subtract it from our mortgage and know what's left over. But there's more than just our mortgages that are going to be in our expenses. We got to look at maintenance, vacancies, and all sorts of things. And so I want to walk you through what we need to look for. That way we can take that information and then plug it into a rental property calculator. And then that calculator can tell us, hey, this is a good deal, or hey, this isn't a good deal. So here are the things we're going to need to accumulate when underwriting a property to see if it's, hey, this is a good deal, we need to pursue it, or hey, we shouldn't. All right. Well, first we got to know what the purchase price is going to be. But to be able to find the purchase price, we need to know what are similar homes in the area selling for. Essentially, what is this home worth? And then what can this home be worth if I were to put a little love into it, assuming that you were buying a distressed property? And a great way to find comparable home sales, okay, number one is hiring a realtor. That's an easy way to do it because they'll do all of this work for you. A realtor will go and put a whole market analysis for you, and they can tell you, you know, these three homes are comparable. They sold in the last 2 months, and then break down, okay, this home had a garage, the home you're looking at doesn't, your home has a fireplace, this one doesn't, you know, and then add and subtract value based on different features that each of the home has. But you want to try to find homes that are as comparable as possible, hence why we call them comparable homes. So if you're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that you want to buy, you're going to want to run comparables on a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that has just sold. And a great way that we find value is based off of price per square foot. So you can look at homes that recently sold, you know, within a 2-mile radius within the last 3 to 4 months that's comparable to yours and say, okay, it sold at this price per square foot. And then you can look and, like I said, add, subtract different features. Okay, this one has a garage, mine doesn't. Well, let's subtract $10,000 from the value of mine. And you can go through and do all that based on different features that the home has. But if you're a new investor, you hadn't done a lot of real estate, it's going to be hard for you to know those answers. So you're going to want to link up with another investor, or you want to get with a realtor and they can help you do that. So where do we find these? If you're doing them by yourself, well, Zillow is a great place to start. If you're working with a realtor, they're going to look on the MLS, or I like the app PropStream. It is a great place to be able to look at a ton of different data, but also comparable homes and see, okay, what are homes selling for in this area? And you can also look and dive in and say, okay, this is what homes are looking for that are fully renovated, like flip condition, kind of middle of the tier renovated, is good for rentals, or as is. And you'll be able to walk away from that saying, all right, this is what it's worth in these 3 different tiers. How do we go about it from there? Next, we need to know our mortgage details, all right? So we need to know, okay, what is our down payment going to be? Are you putting 20% down? Are you doing 10% down? Are you using hard money and then refinancing into a long-term loan? Are you using private money in hard money, or private money by itself, or a portion of your money and a portion of private money, and you're doing the BRRRR method? What are we doing? That way we know what to account for, not only on the front end of buying this property, but also if we're doing a BRRRR method, right, what our refinance is going to look on the backside. And BRRRR, for those of you who do not know, it just stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And so you're essentially going to buy a distressed property with somebody else's money, okay? Most of the time. It could be your cash. It could be somebody else's cash. It could be a mix of yours and somebody else's cash, whether it's a private lender or a hard money lender. But the point is you're going to buy it in cash, and then you're going to rehab it, okay? You're going to make it nice. You're going to get it rented out. And then once you've got it nice and rented out, you're going to go to a bank and you're going to refinance and get it into a long-term stable bank loan. And so what the bank will do is they'll order an appraisal for the new value of that property that you have just bought and rehabbed and rented out. And it should be worth more than when you bought it, because you bought an undervalued distressed property and then you've made it nice, you've got it rented out, so now it should be worth a lot more. The bank's going to write you a check for 80% most likely of the new appraised value. You're going to take that check and you're going to pay yourself back if you bought it in cash. You're going to pay the private lender back if they loaned it to you, the hard money lender, whatever the case may be. And now you own this property in theory without having to put any of your own money in because you use somebody else's or you use cash and you were able to pay yourself back through that refi. So I know there's a lot of information, but we need to know what those details of our mortgage are going to look like. What's the length of our mortgage going to be? Is it going to be a 20-year note? Is it going to be a 30-year note? What's the interest rate? We're in a higher interest rate market currently at the time of this recording. And, it's your cash flow and your numbers are going to be totally different if you were to plug in a 3.5% interest rate or you were to plug in a 6.5% interest rate. So we need to know what those are. And we'll go to a mortgage officer or a loan originator to get that. Closing costs. What are our closing costs going to be? Are there any balloon payments? So oftentimes when you buy real estate, you'll do what's called a DSCR loan or a commercial loan or a portfolio loan. It's known by any of them. And so you'll have a mortgage, okay, that is paid like it's on a 20-year mortgage. So you'll pay it like, hey, this is due in 20 years. But at year 5, they have what's called a balloon payment, where you have to either pay the entire rest of the mortgage back or you have to refinance into a new loan. It's very common in the real estate investment space. And so we just need to know, all right, is this included? That way you can mark it and know, hey, I got some balloon payments coming up. We need to go refinance into a new loan. And then PMI, private mortgage insurance. You're not going to have these on DSCR loans or commercial loans or portfolio loans, not that I've seen. But if you are buying a home under your personal name, let's say you're doing an FHA loan to house hack, where you're going to live in the home and then rent out the rooms, or you're buying a duplex, you're going to live in one side and rent out the other. Well, you're going to have to pay most likely PMI, private mortgage insurance, until you've gained at least 20% equity in the property. So if you're putting 3.5% down on a property, or you're doing 5% down on a property, or even if you're doing 10% down, a lot of times on a second home loan, if you're buying an Airbnb, a lot of people will do a second home loan, 10% down. You need to check and see, are you having to pay private mortgage insurance? And if so, what is that going to be? We need to know what our taxes are going to look like. Okay, we can go on the county tax assessor's website, get a good idea of what they have been paying. You just know that taxes are going to go up if you buy it at a higher price than the person that that are selling it to you. Then your taxes are going to go up. I would sit down, call a CPA. Or maybe sit down with other investors in the area and say, okay, what are the tax rates looking like here, and calculate what your taxes are going to be. That way you have an idea of, hey, I need to set aside this amount of money each month to cover my taxes. Insurance, easy peasy. Call your local insurance agent. A great partner of ours is oldie Insurance, OBIE. They are a fantastic partner of ours, and they cover rental properties pretty much throughout the entire country. And so if you're looking for a partner to help you out with your insurances, text me OBIE to 864-660-7148, and I'll send the link over so you can get in touch with them and set up a call and see if you guys will be a good fit for each other. But whether you use OBIE or you got a local insurance agent, reach out to them and they'll be able to give you how much insurance roughly is going to be for that property. We need to know what our maintenance rates are going to be. Best way to find this out is talk to local property managers. So you call a property manager, say, hey, I'm looking to buy a property in this area. It's 3-bed, 2-bath, this square footage. Can you give me an idea of what my maintenance rate's going to be, based on my rents? And what you'll see is, the standard average is around 10 to 15%. If a property manager won't answer your call or call you back, you can call other local investors or get on Facebook groups, local investment groups, or go to local real estate meetups and ask people, hey, what's your standard maintenance rate? Most of them are going to be 10 to 15%. That's for long-term rentals. If you're buying short-term rentals, I'd say you're probably 15 to 20% when it comes to what your maintenance rate is going to be based on your annual rents. I will tell you this. I buy properties in what we call B to C class neighborhoods. So it's not like luxury neighborhoods and it's not, war zones. It's somewhere in the middle. When you're in the B to C class, you're going to be somewhere between 10 to 15% maintenance rate. Okay. I about bought a portfolio in a D class neighborhood one time. It it was like 19 homes. I was all excited about it. I was a new investor and I was like, man, this is going to cash flow. I'm getting a great deal because I was plugging my maintenance numbers like it was a B2C class area. I also was plugging in my vacancy rates, which we'll talk about here in a minute, like it was a B2C class neighborhood. Well, luckily, I was set to close in a few weeks. Luckily, I called local property management. I said, hey, I ran this on my calculator, my rental calculator, and I wanted to make sure that I got this right. I'm sitting at about 10 to 15% maintenance rates and 5% vacancy. They said, oh, no, not for this area. She said, you're probably going to be about 50% in maintenance rates, and you're probably going to be at a 15% vacancy rate. You guys understand what that did to my numbers? Absolutely destroyed them. I backed out of the deal. I mean, I had already paid for inspections. I lost $3,500 in inspections. And a lot of these homes were in bad shape. And some people play that game, the slumlord game. Not for me. And I did my due diligence, right? I wish I'd have done it sooner before I went and spent all the money on the inspections, but I got out without it being a lot worse than it could have been. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence on each individual property because it's different depending on location. Hey guys, when you're just starting out as a real estate investor, finding deals is the most important thing you can do. But unfortunately, it can also be your biggest hurdle. And let me tell you, it gets even harder when your business grows and you don't have a lot of time to look for properties and evaluate deals like you did on the front end. That's why you need to work with New Western. New Western has properties ready for rehab on their marketplace today. That means you skip the hours of research, driving neighborhoods, or calling agents. And instead, you get to start with a ready-made property. You can rehab and flip it, or rehab it and BRRRR it and hold it as a rental. So why is New Western good at what they do? Well, they buy and sell a property every 13 minutes. They work exclusively with investors and value-add properties, and that's all they do. They're licensed agents, they have a network of lenders, and they'll help you grow your business. So if you're ready to jumpstart your next project, visit newwestern.com, join their marketplace, and access the largest private source of rehab properties in the nation. We need to know how much capital expenditures are going to cost. And when I say capital expenditures, I want you to think of big ticket expense items like your roof, your HVAC, your kitchen and bathroom remodels, replacing windows, appliances, etc. Okay. Many investors will include capital expenditure savings under their maintenance. All right. And then they'll just base the savings rate that they need to save off of the age of each capital expenditure item compared to their expected service life. So how long should the roof last compared to how old is the actual roof, right? So how long do I have to replace it based on the service life and its age? What's that price going to be? And I'll factor that in to my monthly expenses. Now, we can get in the weeds here on different strategies. If you're BRRRRing on the front end and you're using private money or hard money and they'll loan you for the rehab and the roof's getting pretty darn old, maybe you go ahead and replace that on the front end with somebody else's money if you can make it valuable enough and worth more to where it's going to pay you back on the refinance on the back end. But there's so many different strategies. That's why it's important to have somebody in your corner who's helping you out. But you just want to make sure that you're taking care of your capital expenditures. A great resource that I found, I don't have any affiliation with this guy. I know him, but it's a fantastic resource. It's called retipster.com/terms/CapEx. Okay. Again, retipster.com/terms/CapEx, CAPEX. And it's like a little calculator that'll help you know how much you need to be saving for capital expenditures. If you're going to use a property management company or a property management software, we need to know what these fees are going to be. Great way to find out is you just call a local property management company and say, hey, what are your fees? And they'll tell you. So you're going to see the average for a single family homes, 10%. You may see anywhere from 8 to 12%, depending on how many properties you have and the location that it's in. And for short-term rentals, somewhere between 15 and 25%. And then if you're going to manage yourself, software to manage, properties is relatively inexpensive compared to property managers. But I'll tell you, I've managed long-term rentals. I've managed short-term rentals. I love a property manager. I pay 10% every month because of the stage of life I'm in, and it works for me. But, whatever works for you, you just need to make sure you're accounting for whatever the expenses are going to be. Mentioned this earlier, but vacancy rates. The Census Bureau says the national average is 5 to 7%. And that changes, varies little by little, but that's a good number to plug in. When I'm running my numbers, I'm normally putting 5% as vacancy rate for me. You can reach out to other landlords, ask them what they're seeing that are in the area. You can reach out to real estate agents, see what they're seeing. But again, national average 5 to 7, and local property managers are probably going to be able to give you the best numbers because that's what they do for a living. Now, if you got to cover utilities, we need to know what's power, what's water and sewer, what's cable and internet, what's gas. In the long-term rental space, the traditional long-term rental space with the single-family home, you normally aren't going to have to cover any of those. You're normally just going to have to cover your mortgage, your taxes, and your insurance, and obviously maintenance of vacancies, but you're not going to have to cover utilities. If you have an Airbnb, sometimes if you have multifamily, such as duplex, triplex, quadplex, and then obviously if you have a big apartment complex, you're probably going to have to cover utilities or a portion of utilities. So we want to have a really good idea of what each of these is going to cost so that we can account for them. If you don't account for, let's say utilities, power's what, 500, water, sewer. Let's just say you got $750 a month in utilities, and you totally forget to account for that on the front end. That's $750 out of your cash flow every month. That can be a big problem if you underwrite that incorrectly. Services, same thing. Trash and landscape. If you own an apartment complex, if you own an Airbnb, duplex, whatever the case may be, you may have to cover these services. Again, if you own a single family home, most likely you will not, or if you own a triple net commercial building, you won't have to do that either. HOA, if you have an HOA in the neighborhood, then we need to know what those are. You just call the HOA president. Say, hey, what are our fees here for HOA? I own an Airbnb in a gated community in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's very expensive. These HOAs are expensive. And so if I would have ran my numbers not accounting for the HOA, I'd have been sad once I saw what my actual returns were. So making sure you know what those are is going to help you. Cleaning team, you need to account for your cleaning team if you're going to be doing Airbnb. So great way to find out what that's going to cost is calling local cleaning companies or turnoverbnb.com. They just changed their name to turnobnb.com or turno.com, excuse me. And you can get a good idea of what your cleaning rate's going to be, per clean. So it can be different everywhere. I've seen $80, I've seen $150, I've seen over 200. So you want to reach out. And then fees. What are your fees? Okay, what I mean by that, and this is often going to be Airbnbs, but it could be anything. Like, does it cost you to have a business license to run an Airbnb or your rentals? Does the city or county charge you for a short-term rental license, right? And if they do, then we want to take that and we want to plug it into our calculator so that we can make sure that we are getting correct numbers, and we know, okay, this is like how much we're going to be spending every single month. And so then once we plug these numbers into a calculator, and we'll do another episode telling you what do I look for, once we plug these numbers into the calculator, then we're going to look at our cash flow, cash on cash return, and our cap rates, our net operating income, or our NOI. And that's going to be able to tell us, after plugging in what our rents are, and then everything else we just talked about, it will spit out and say, this is how much cash flow you're getting. This is your cash on cash return. This is your cap rate, your net operating income. And you'll be able to look at this hard data and say, this is a good deal or it's not a good deal. What it does is it removes emotion out of the picture and it replaces it with logic and data that you can look at. And you can't argue with what the numbers are saying. I've tried. You'll sit there and you'll stare and you'll try to make a deal make sense, but it just doesn't. And so eventually you'll give up and you're like, okay, this isn't a good deal. As bad as I want this property at this purchase price, at rates, what they currently are, at rental prices, this doesn't make sense. And so you'll either go back to the drawing board and say, I need to get this at a lower price. I need rents to be higher. Can we get interest rates lower? And maybe you're able to accomplish one of those three things to, make it a better deal. Or you just walk away, but you do it confidently because you know that you plugged your numbers in correctly and you analyze. So we'll do another episode talking about what we're looking for when we're plugging our numbers into the calculator. But I've put together a couple of different resources to help you go through these things when you're analyzing your properties for yourself. And so if you want a checklist that gives you all of these points that I just covered in this episode, text me the word analyze to 864-660-7148. And I'll send you a checklist so you have all of this. And then also, if you want the calculator that you plug all of this data into to tell you if it's a good deal or not, message me the word calculator to the same number, 864-660-7148. And I will send those over to you. That way you'll have them at your disposal so that you can use them when you're out analyzing and trying to find deals for yourself. All right. Until next time, thank you guys so much for listening. If you would, share this episode with a friend or two. That's how word gets out about this podcast. It would mean the world to me if you would send this to somebody. And then take a screenshot right now of you listening to this and tag me on Instagram at Finance Cowboy. I would personally tell you thank you if you take the time to do it. I am so grateful for all of you listeners and hope this is helpful to you. So until next time, we will talk soon.